Good morning, this is Jerry3904 of the MS Linux Forum, and I'm here to show you the next installment of the series What's New in MX-21 Fluxbox. Today we're going to look at 4 topic areas, some of which you may know and some not. Start with the key bindings and see what the keys file is all about. Before I do that, while I'm doing that, I wanted to show something in action that I mentioned before, which is to rotate the wallpapers that we have. 0 means don't do any rotation. 1 says rotate. Here's the folder file. That's the default folder, and we're going to say OK. Now these will rotate 1 per minute. Now the keys file is located in the Fluxbox folder. So let's go find the Fluxbox folder. It's not there. That's because it's a hidden folder, and Thunar doesn't show hidden folders by default. To show them, we want to go Control-H, and there they are. Now they're all visible. I use this so much that I have a little trick I like, is that I send to the side pane as a shortcut. Now it's over here as a shortcut, and I rename the shortcut to make it look right. Sorry. I have a very sensitive touchpad, so rename shortcut. Fluxbox, and then I'm going to slide it up right up underneath trash. Good. So now we've done that, but we're not going to actually find the keys file that way. We're going to find it an easier way, which is right in settings, configure, and there's the keys file. Here it is over on the side, and it's a flat file, meaning there's no special. It's all standard language. There's some tricks here. The alternate key is called mod 1. You'll read it as we go. Here at the top of it are the function keys. This is new. We originally had that set as just the function key, but our users pointed out that interfered with apps. So let's run through those. Here's function F1. Sorry, silly me. Control F1, which brings up the documentation, Fluxbox documentation. Control F2, which brings up a tiny little run program from Fluxbox. Control F3, which brings up Thunar. Control F4, which gives us the drop-down terminal, which is very handy. And Control F5, which brings MX tools. So those are the way the function keys are. You can add others. There's another 5 unmapped control function key uses, and it's something that you can really get a good deal out of. So here's our file again. Those are the top ones, and you can see how it's set up. There's a lot of ways. You have some kind of modifier key, although when we do print, it just says none, just the F key itself. Print modifying key, and then a keystroke, and then a space, and then the command. You can do, there's some that are really useful. This one right here, mod 1D, that is alternate D, will show the desktop, for instance, and that's nice to know. A lot of people like to use that. There are others in there. It's worth reading through. And then down here, this is the whole Windows tiling section in the keys. And I want to remind you that the tiling was an option in previous versions, but now it's built right into the menu. So I follow this one and use the control plus number. Control 1 left half, Control 2, Control 3, Control 4, Control 5, Control 6, Control 7, Control 8, and the one I use all the time, Control 9, which is to put spreadsheets or whatever over on the left side so that I can actually see them. Control 0, by the way, gives you the whole screen. So tiling is built in right there, which is very, very nice. You can do your own. I have a video on that. There also is excellent stuff on the web. This one in particular, this article of now 2007, but this article on Fluxbox keys, as you can see, it's a whole overview, And there are lots of key things on the web. Some are very complicated. I can't remember the complicated ones, so I didn't put them in this in this, but it's a long and very useful article if you want to try to get an overview. So that's the Fluxbox keys file. It's worth reading through the top half so you can use it. Okay, now let's turn our attention to the docks. I mentioned before that there is both the native dock that we have, that I have a detailed look in an earlier video if you look up Power Tools, and then we have the ability to use the Tint 2 behind the panel. We can use that as a dock. So I want to take a look at a couple of those. First, the dock itself is a script based on a program by Sébastien Ballet called WMA Launcher, and we use that to create a dock by chaining little icons together in a certain sense. It's located in Thunar. Now I'm going to just click on Fluxbox. It's in scripts, and here it is, default dock.mxdk. And if I pile that up, you'll see this is the actual script itself. And here are, over here, the launchers one at a time. Let me increase it so it's a little more visible. The launchers, here's Rofi and MX Tools, etc. This is the actual text script. And you can use this if you're comfortable working with the text script. For instance, you could just remove a line if you didn't like it. Because it'd be easier if I knew what I was doing here. Let's try it like that. You could remove that and then it would disappear from the dock. You could also, for instance, if you thought the icons are that 48, the size, if you thought that was too big or too small, you could use search and replace that 48. Look at down below, or replace that 48 with either 32 to get it to be small or 64 to get it to be larger. And I'm just going to show you how that goes to get it to be smaller, and click on this. And now all the 48s have been changed to 32. I'm not going to save it, but you could save this now and then kill the dock and relaunch it from appearances. The easier way for us to deal with it, though, is to use the Dock Maker. This is a program written by Adrian, and it's been revised many times, but Dock Maker. Dock Maker, I'm going to create, but Dock Maker lets you deal with these docks. I'm going to create a new one. I've already shown how to edit this in the former one, but I'm going to say I want a work dock where I often use Calc, LibreOffice Calc, and the calculator called Galculator, like an idiot, but you can choose when you add new application either the file, and that's the desktop file, everything is set, or you can, this is a nice feature of using WMA Launcher, you can actually put in a command and choose an icon for it. So the border here says white, but I'm going to make sure it's black, and I'm going to choose my let's see, what did I say? I want to use calculator. I'm going to say open. And now I have calculator there, and then I'm going to add an application. I'm going to select a file, and it's going to be LibreOffice Calc right there, the spreadsheet. Open that. I forgot to change that to black. There we go. So now I have myself a little dock. So I can save that. I'm going to leave it. Let's see, I'll put it, there's nothing up there for now. I'll put it up at the top center. And then I'm going to call it work. And save it. And in the menu, I also want to see work. So, and save that. Okay, so now I will close. And there you see that it's actually put my little work dock up here. It's now in the menu, appearance, docs, work is there. I can switch and go back, but it's pretty handy. I can go back to the default. Let's go back to the default. There's our default dock there. So you can create these docks and switch them out as you need them. I also want to take a look at a Tint 2 dock. I can't actually remember what. Let's see if this works. Docks, Tint 2, I think it does. Yes. So here we have the basic dock. I'll leave this is Tint 2 that makes the panel. I'll leave the bottom panel on, and I'll take this basic dock, and I'm going to, well, let me first apply it. And it's over here, so let me kill my dock, my regular dock, kill the dock. And now there it is there. That's the basic dock. And so now I don't like that. I'm going to change that. So I'm not going to use the text editor that I showed you before. I'm going to use the GUI editor, and I'll show you why. It takes a minute to load. It's quite resource intensive. So this is now, all those text files are now represented in graphic form. And when we're working with this particular thing, we can just go to something called the, oops, sorry. Let me just change that. We want the dock. You have to make sure to highlight the right one. And here are the launchers that are on there. And now look how hard this isn't. I decide I don't need that. I'll put the arrow to put it over there. I don't need MX tools. I have lots of those already. Settings manager is all over the place, so I don't need that. Don't need that. Don't really need that. So now I'm down to 2. I'll keep my music item here because I might want to add something to it. And what should I add to it? I'll have a Conky Manager for some reason. I can add Conky Manager, and I can add, let's see, I can add something that's vaguely, oh there, how about the video, the editor. So there we go. So now I can just say apply. And you can see it's already changed over here. I now have those 3 icons there. So the Tint 2 dock is like the native clock, the Tint 2 dock maker. Then Tint 2 dock is very easy to change, and you can do it yourself without too much trouble. It's easy to learn if you just remember to highlight the right one when you start. Okay, so let's move over to the desktop icons, which I didn't spend much time on before. I did an entire video on that. Again, look up the Power Tools video, which explains it in some detail. So these are the 2 desktop icons up here. Fluxbox by itself was not well able to handle the problem of icons at all. And there are various solutions. What we did was to take an old program called iDesk Tool and to then rewrite it and modernize it. We had a lot of help and to expand its capabilities. So I just want to cover a couple of quick basics. First, I had a lot of grief from my colleagues because I lined these up on a diagonal. They said, oh, they're not lined up. So if you want, you can just left click and drag. And if you feel better, and if that doesn't work, then left click and drag. Or even worse, if you don't want it at all, you know where the silly software is, then right click and delete it. Okay, so that's very simple. Just basically you can hide if you want to see the video thing, but you don't want to see it, but you don't want to lose it. Then I'll remind you in the main menu that you can, out of sight, you can toggle the icons, and that turns it off. It's still there. With delete, it just gets gone. But with this, it's just not visible. And if I hope, if I toggle it again, the icons, it should reappear. There it is. Okay. So there is a whole, you just saw it, there's a whole right click menu that pick up items out of the way iDesk tool is run. But then the item itself, we could center click on that, but I'll show it to you from we go to Appearance, iDesktop Icons. This is our rewrite of the icon management tool. We've added a whole bunch of functions, and it's pretty neat this way. It's a highly powerful tool now that allows us to easily manipulate icons on the Fluxbox desktop. I'm going to show you, because we have a new app that people like to use as an icon on their desktop, I'm going to show you how to add a new icon. Double click, and we're going to call this Trash. We have so many requests for a trash icon, and I'm going to name it Trash, no less. Now the command, I happen to know it, but you could use the menu to get the exact command. I'll just show how you would do that. Just type in trash here. There is trash check. Right click it, edit, and there's the command. MXFB-trash. You can Control C to copy that, and get out of here, and paste the command in here. The right-click command, you can control these if you wanted the same. Say you had an icon for the Fluxbox documentation, and you wanted to have the MX Linux documentation. You could change that right-click command so you could get two different functions off the same icon. But I'm going to leave it the way it is. And then the next thing, and this is actually where the change is, we no longer have the Mocha icons that were used, but Adwaita is pretty good, so we'll open that up and see what they've got. Rats. I just did a silly, sorry about that. Trash. MXFB-trash check. And now I just needed to double click that. And we want 48 by 48, and it's not an app, it's a place, so we'll click on Places and look down there, and there's User Trash right there. That one will work. Or I like this one, which is a symbolic, so I'm going to pick that because it's less, you can pick what you want. So there it is right here, and we can move it right there. And if I click that, if I click it right, we get this. There are two files of trash. You want to empty the trash? Yes, no, show trash. Shows me the trash. And so I'll say yes, get rid of it. And then it tells us that. So that icon now is we have a trash icon on just using the iDesk tool itself. Very quick and works really well. Okay, for our last topic, I want to turn to the startup file, which is where application autostart occurs, and show you a good concrete example of when you might want to use it. First, I'm going to change things around here. I'm a little bit tired. I'm going to get the conky out of sight. I'm going to get the videos out of sight. Actually, I'm going to just get rid of it on my desktop. I know where they are. And I'm going to auto hide. That's a secret what I just did there. Auto hide the dock. And I'm going to change the wallpaper to one that is really clever and amusing and all that. Some of these you have to scale to get them big enough to cover the screen. All right, this is a very clever tangram here. You see that the parts of the MX logo are broken up into the individual pieces and reconstructed into a really kind of a neat thing. So it's very clever and very pretty, and it's a good way for us to end. So you saw already that I have a very sensitive touchpad, and it can really throw me off. And I did a video on this called Touchy Touchpads. Not many people have it, but I have it. So I'm going to fix that now first by using the touchpad indicator. And in a second it'll pop up in the sys tray down here on the right. Thank you. And now all I have to do is just click it and say disable touchpad. And now no matter how much I move on the touchpad, nothing happens. If I need it re-enabled, there it is again, enable touchpad. So it's disabled, and that's very nice, but I don't want to have to launch that every time I log in. So I'm going to have that auto launch, okay? So let's figure out how to get to we know where these things are. There's settings, and we're going to configure something called startup. A pretty clever name. I'm going to use my Control 9 to get it over there. Then I'll move it to the middle. So this is what startup is. It has a few directions here that are commented out so that the program doesn't look for them. A number of these are you should be careful about touching existing ones, but for instance, if you need a compositor, all you'd have to do is just take out that hash sign and it would be running. Okay, so that's nice. And I'm going to add this one, for instance, down here. This is what tells the program to start the panel down there, and that kicks in a little program that tells us which tint tool we're using. So I'm going to add a new entry. I'm going to put up a little hash, and I'm going to say start touchpad indicator, and then the actual command. I happen to know that's right, but let's just check here. Touchpad, and I'm going to right click again and go to edit so I can find out what the command is there. I'm just going to copy that and then get rid of it, cancel, and get rid of this, and now paste it in here. So I've made sure I have the right item. So that's the program, and then as it says way up here, make sure that apps that keep running have a ampersand at the end. So I want it to keep running, so I'm going to add an ampersand right at the end there. And then I'm going to save it. Now when I log out and log back in, I'm not going to do it. When I log out and log back in, then it'll be in the desk tray. By the way, down in the sys tray, look way over here. Do you see this in red? This panel has a battery icon that shows up with a certain limit. This is set to 15%. So you don't look at it all the time, but then like now it'll pop up and tell me, okay, your battery is getting good and low. And then we have it set to only appear with certain limits, but you can set it to show all the time depending on what you want. Okay, so we're about done. I showed you that. Yeah, I think we're all done. That's a good way to end, as we've got limits on that. Take care. I hope you enjoyed this, and be sure to, I hope you just have fun with MX Fluxbox.